Hey, welcome back to the Catalyst curriculum. I'm Chris Conley, the original author of the Catalyst curriculum and master coach for CCI's in-person and virtual cohorts. Today I'm going to talk about Miro, an online visual collaboration platform that's essentially equivalent to also Mural. So there's a few of these types of solutions out there, but here at Catalyst we use Miro. So I'm going to show you that one. And what's great about Miro is it allows you to do the kinds of activities, tangible, visual, and collaborative activities that are such a core part of the Catalyst problem-solving methodology. And it allows you to keep your whole project in there, and so that regardless of where your team is, you can come back to see your work and collaborate. So it's a really great way to maintain some cohesion in your team, even though you guys are working on different things. Okay, so with that, let's get started. Okay, when you first log into Miro, you'll see your dashboard, and your dashboard has the different teams you may be a part of. You'll probably start out with just one team, and then all the boards that have been created so far. And again, you'll have no boards created so far, unless maybe there's a default help one in there to begin, and you can click new board. But I'm going to take you into a board that's already been used so that you can kind of see what it's like as you start using Miro. So I'm going to come in here, and what you're seeing right now is the Miro interface in a board. And so let me take you through what you're seeing. So in the middle of this area is the board itself with a frame and a bunch of smaller frames, text and sticky notes from somebody who had gone through an exercise using Miro. But if I zoom out, you can see that you're on a canvas that's infinite, which is one of the things that makes Miro really great, is that you can keep adding stuff into your board that just tracks the different things you're doing in your project. Again, if you stay organized, it's a great way to have all your project data in one place. And what you see here is a bunch of other similar boards that are set up for a group exercise coming up later this week at CCI. Okay, so this is the board in the middle. Up here you have the title of the board and ability to print it or export it. And if you click on Miro, you get back to the dashboard. On the left-hand side here are the content tools. So these are the tools that allow you to add content to the board, everything from sticky notes to text notes to graphics and images, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Down here on the lower left are the collaboration tools. So these are more about collaboration and facilitation. So you have everything from show me all the frames that are in the document, to voting, to presentation, to chat, to video chat, so you can bring people in. Your team can meet inside of Miro through video, through little video windows, instead of having to do Zoom also. A timer, activity, which is kind of an activity list of what people have done. So these are collaboration and facilitation tools. And then up here tend to be more account level things. So the people in the board, your ability to share the board, some settings, a help area, learning center, notifications if people are trying to join your board and they don't have access, things like that, and an ability to search the board. Okay, so that's the general interface to get you around. Get yourself familiar. I'm going to send you a link for a Miro practice board that you should be able to go into and just practice at your will, at your convenience. So now I want to talk a little bit about navigation. You saw me zoom in and out and kind of drag things around. So let's talk about navigation. That's the first thing you want to get comfortable with. Now, navigation depends on whether you're a mouse or a trackpad, and Miro makes it really convenient up here under these settings, which are these little sliders. Click on that, click on navigation mode, and you're presented with an ability to say, I tend to use a mouse on this computer, or I'm using the trackpad, and you can change this at any point. But the behavior of scrolling and panning or moving around the board is a little bit different if you're using a mouse or a trackpad, because they have different types of controls. So with the mouse, which I'm using right now, you can click down and drag the canvas. So that's moving the whole thing around. And you can zoom by using the scroll wheel, so in and out. And that's how I have it currently set. With the trackpad, 2 fingers moving along the trackpad will pan your board, move your viewpoint around, and then by pinching and spreading, you can zoom in and out. So you want to get comfortable with those actions because it's the way that you're going to move around the board most efficiently. So I'm scrolling my wheel, and wherever my mouse is where it's going to scroll to. So if I put my mouse up here by the example board, I can get up to that corner. I scroll out, I can come right into the middle. So really easy once you get the hang of it. And then if I want to move around and drag it, so if I'm here and I want to go, oh, actually I want to get to that second board, click in an open area. Don't click on content because you can move content around accidentally. And actually, let me show you that. I think this is all, nope, there you go. Oops, I accidentally grabbed that. Just hit Command-Z or Control-Z, depending on whether you're on a Mac or a PC. Again, if you accidentally drag something that you didn't want to, Command-Z, or you can come up into this interface up here, and there's an undo button, so you can just hit that undo. So remember that undo when you accidentally move something. Okay, scroll out, grab, and drag. That's navigation. So let's go to the fun stuff and talk about adding content. So I'm going to come over here to a blank area. And the first thing I want to talk about are sticky notes, because that's the primary way you will have people participate in an activity, from brainstorming to writing out their names to contributing to any sort of generative activity. And so if I click on the sticky note, I get lots of colors. I can just grab one and plop it down on the board. It plops down and it has the cursor ready for me to type, and I just type in whatever my idea is or whatever I've been asked to do, my name, etc. And once that's in there, I click off of it and it creates it. Okay? So now I have one sticky note. Now since the last tool I selected was a sticky note, I can double click and get another sticky note. Okay? Double click, another sticky note. If you click off of them to edit them again, double click on them, and that'll get you your editor. Okay? So now you probably notice this bar coming up, and let me move this here in the middle. This bar is the formatting bar. So every piece of content, whether it's a sticky note, a text block, any sort of content you're going to put on the page, a format bar shows up above it. And that's where you can change the type of object it is. So if you accidentally put down a sticky note and you wanted to put down a star, you can just change it to a star. And I don't want to do that, so I'm going to undo, undo. And that format bar has other things like the font size. You can leave it to auto and it'll just auto adjust. That's easiest. You can pick a little bit about which font you want, not much. The alignment, and this is the one place where I really want to pay attention, whether you're using small, medium, and large. Now I tend to use in my board small sticky notes, depending on how much content we want on each one of them, but they will just get, these are large ones, so what I really want to do is make them all small. So the formatting bar, and you just zoom in, and they'll seem the same size, but small ones work better with, multi-group activities. And then you can be intentional about when you want a bigger one. So I can say I want this to be more of a horizontal sticky note, and I want it to be a large one because I'm using it to name that group. Or that's a little big. Let's do a medium one. Okay, so that's the formatting bar. I guess I'll mention it here, is that you can also lock things. So if I lock it, I won't be able to move that. If I grab it, it's like I'm grabbing the whole board and moving that around. Okay? To unlock, and locking things is really great when you're throwing stuff on a board for the framework of your exercise. Directions, areas, etc. Locking it down keeps people from accidentally moving the things you have set up. If you click down on that lock, I'll do that again. If you click down and hold your button down, it'll time it a little bit and give you an unlock. So now it's unlocked. Now I can drag it around independently of everything else. Okay, so that's sticky notes. This will look pretty familiar to you from now on. This is a text block. And again, when I click on it, I get a formatting bar. A few different options than a sticky note. Again, I use text blocks not for ideas or adding content, but for actually setting up exercises and building the framework around people doing their work. So if actually I come back over here, you can see, for example, here's a text block when people are making a storyboard. Here's a rectangle with some text in it. And so this storyboard step of this exercise is kind of set up with rectangles, text, and that's it, rectangles and text. And then the participants are putting images in, which I'll show you how to do in a little bit. Okay, let's go back over to our practice area. I'm going to zoom way out and scroll back in. It's the easiest way to move around in Miro. Okay, graphics, rectangles, I said that over there, but just grab it, drag it out, and I like to fill in my rectangles often, so let's fill that in with a nice reddy pink. And really anything you want to put in there. If you're doing more dialogue stuff, here's a comment from a user, right? So lots of ways to add graphics to the page. So that's sticky notes and graphics. Now, one of the things you saw over in the exercise that I showed you that was already done was that there were these frames. And in fact, that's a particular type of graphic called a frame. And I often like using 16 by 9 as the generic size or the generic proportion because when you go into presentation mode, it works well for displaying on the computer. And when you export by frames, it works well on printing out or presenting in a PDF. So a frame is simply an area that's going to organize your content and keep it together. So if I put a frame around all this content, or if I create content on the frame, when I click on the frame to select it and move that frame, the frame is moving and the content is staying together. So this is a great way to group your content, to keep parts of an exercise together, and keep people focused on one step at a time, if you will. So these frames are great ways of organizing. Often I'll set up a board that's just a nice big board and maybe put a presentation, import a PowerPoint, and lay that out on the board for comment and feedback with my colleagues. So frames are really helpful in organizing your content. Otherwise, if you don't have a frame, and I'll delete the frame, now you just have all this independent content and you have to select it all if you want to move it as a group. And it's very easy to get disorganized if you're not looking to use frames. Now, you might have seen me do something there which is called selection. So if I hold down the Shift key and click and drag, instead of moving the board, I get a selection rectangle. And so that's an easy way to pick up a lot of content at once. Or if you have, I think you saw me do it earlier when I selected the stickies and I wanted to reformat all of those at the same time. Okay? So selection can be a single select or a drag and select. So, but I have to hold down the Shift key because otherwise if I'm just clicking and dragging in my mouse navigation mode, it'll just move things around. So that's adding content to a board. That's creating frames to hold that content. Once I click, oh, look at that. Now why isn't that? And that's creating frames so that you can organize your content. Let me make sure that these are being held. There we go. I just got to get associated with that frame. I think you can even have it, if you have a lot of stickies and you want it just organized in a grid, you can click that. I prefer the unorganized view and to try to have my collaborators keep things organized. Okay, what's after frames? Actually, one more thing on frames. So you can lock frames down just like anything else, but a cool added feature for frames, which I really like using in multi-step exercises, is the hide frame. So this eyeball, click on that, and it hides the content of the frame. So why would you use that? Well, if we go down here to an exercise, this is a setup for a design dash, and if I don't want them to see the other steps before we get started, I can select them. Oops, I can't select all of those. I can just select the frames and hide them. And so that's a really great way to keep them focused here over on step 1 and not have to worry about what's on other steps. So that's hiding frames, which is a really convenient way, again, to manage the content on your board. Here's my other area. Just click on the eyelashes to unhide it and get working again. Okay, so that's hiding. Now I want to show you something really cool. I'm actually going to select this and delete it. Select, we'll leave, why don't we leave the frame here? It's locked. I have to long press to unlock it. And now what I want to show you are templates. So there's built-in templates, and anything that you set up, like that design dash setup, you can save as a template. So templates are here as a second icon on the content tools. If I click on that, I get a window with lots of different built-in templates for doing exercises. Again, setting up for a meeting or a workshop, idea and brainstorming, strategy and planning, research and design. Really great number of built-in templates, and the community around Miro can share all of their templates as well. So let's look at something here. Here's an icebreaker. I can click on it. It shows me what it is. And so it's just graphics set up in a certain way that allow you to run an exercise. And I'm going to use the blank template. So when I do that, it puts it down on my frame. And I can put it up here. Maybe it's the first exercise we do, the icebreaker. And I come down here, and it's already built in for a team to get started. So maybe there's 4 people on the team. They learn to put their name in there. And a thing you recently learned, and an image of it. So it's just a way to get people to start sharing things. And what's really good about this is using one of these frameworks that you set up or that somebody else has set up, is that it allows people, when they start in an icebreaker, to learn how to use the Miro, how to use Miro if they're new to it. Okay, so that's template. The final thing I want to show you is how do you bring other people into the board. And so I'm going to go over here to share. And the key thing here is if you're going to invite people who don't have a Miro account, you can, anyone with a link, you can share a link to the board, and you can set this to they can edit. So if you only want them to be able to comment or to view it, you can choose those, but we really like the collaboration and the content from multiple people. You can also set a password if you want. If it has any sort of sensitive information that you really want to control, go ahead and set a password. But then you just copy that board link, and you can send that through text, put it in the chat in the Zoom or Microsoft Teams chat if you're on that kind of board. And if your user clicks on it, or if your participant, sorry, the people, your invitee clicks on it, their browser will open and they will come into this board, and you'll see their cursor come down from up here, and you can bring them into the board and run an exercise. Okay? So that's a really quick overview of Miro. We did everything from the overall interface to how to get around and do navigation, how to add content from sticky notes to text to graphics, how to use frames to organize your content and your templates, templates themselves, locking and hiding templates, or locking any piece of content you don't want to move around the board, and then inviting others. I hope this was helpful. The best way to do it, the best way to learn, is to actually get in there and intentionally play with some of these dimensions that I went through. And I hope you enjoy using Miro during your Catalyst experience, and I hope you can bring other people into your board and collaborate more visually and tangibly. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.